everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and today I am here to do the delightful kitchen garden book tag. I will leave the original creator and the booktuber whose channel I saw it on down below, and let's just jump straight into the questions. The first prompt is Rosemary for Remembrance, a book that stands the test of time. Let's all say it with me. Of course, it's Pride and Prejudice. There are so many books that I could have chosen for this prompt, being the lover of classics that I am, but this one to me really stands the test of time because it is still inspiring contemporary readers to dive into classics to this day. Because, as Book Talk proclaims to us, this is the original enemies to lovers book. I don't know that that's entirely true. I think I could think of a few earlier ones, but if it gets people loving Austen and loving classics, I will not complain. Prompt number 2 is Mint, a book that provides a fresh perspective. And for this, fittingly enough, I have An Assembly Such as This by Pamela Aden, which is the first in a trilogy that retells Pride and Prejudice from Darcy's point of view. I loved these books in high school. I thought they were so much fun. You get to see not only Darcy and other beloved characters from Pride and Prejudice, but also characters like his valet, who we don't get to hear from, but who is a delightful character himself, and see him with his horse and his dogs. And it's just really sweet and charming. Herb number 3 is Basil, a book set in the Mediterranean or written by a Mediterranean author. And the first book that sprang to mind was A Room with a View by E.M. Forster, since it is most remembered for being set in Italy and is just as light and refreshing and delightful as The Taste of Basil. Herb number 4 is Lavender, a book like a warm, calming hug. I use lavender spray on my bedding all the time, and so that always makes me think of bedtime stories, so I had to go with A Bear Called Paddington by Michael Bond, and indeed the entire Paddington series, because they are just delightful. Sweet, charming, funny, one of the ultimate comfort reads, no matter how old you are. Herb number 5 is Thyme, an underrated book. And for me, this has to be All Passion Spent by Vita Sackville-West. Firstly, I don't hear Vita Sackville-West's novels talked about a lot on BookTube to start with. I know a lot of people who love Virginia Woolf, but who rarely read Vita Sackville-West's work. And they were lovers for a number of years. This is the only one of hers that I've read, granted, but I really, really love it. It focuses on an older woman who has now lost her husband, her children are grown, and she decides that she's finally going to start living her own life on her own terms, which horrifies her children, but she does it anyway. And it's the first book that I've really seen to use the term feminist the same way that we would use it today. I'm not sure if it was the first to do that, but it was probably one of the earliest. And I just found it delightful. Herb number 6 is Cilantro or Coriander, a love it or hate it book. And I've picked 2 options here, which are both French. I have nothing against French literature, it just worked out that way, which are Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux and Les Liaisons Dangereuses by Pierre Choderlos de Laclos. These I could see being love it or hate it novels. I personally loved them both, but I can see where people might not get along with these books. I think for Phantom of the Opera it helped that I loved the Broadway show first, so I had that vision of Phantom in my head, particularly the film where they give you a little bit more of his backstory and make him that little bit more human. And I love the opera, so I really got a lot of the references that they were making to particular productions that they were doing. For Les Liaisons Dangereuses, I loved getting into these characters' heads and seeing them just unravel themselves, but I can also see where other people might hate these characters because they do not come from good motives. They are doing terrible things to their own relationships. They are emotionally destroying other people as well on this bet. I found it fascinating to watch, but I could see where other people might not really enjoy that. Then the final herb is bergamot, something that started bitter but ended sweet. A book you weren't sure about but ended up loving. Well, I wouldn't say that this one ended sweetly. I don't think there's anything sweet about this novel. But that book was The Poison Thread by Laura Purcell, and this is so really dark, slightly disturbing. It takes twists and turns that I did not expect, that I'm still not sure how I feel about that. I know that I loved the reading experience, but every time I go to say that, there's that little voice in the back of my head going, did you really? You felt kind of weirded out when we did it. So there's also that. For those of you who are unfamiliar, this book follows a young woman who is a seamstress in Victorian London and finds out that she has the ability to kill, potentially, through her sewing. And that's all I'm going to tell you about it. Also, this was called The Corset, I believe, in the UK. So if you're looking for it, it might go under a different title. So there you have the Kitchen Garden book tag. This was absolutely delightful. If you would also like to do this book tag, I would encourage you to do it. I am once again going to chicken out and not tag anyone in particular. If you're new to my channel, I can never tag specific people to do tag videos because it feels like picking teams in gym class, a thing that I also hated. If you choose to do this tag, let me know down below so I can check it out. And until next time, be safe, be well, and happy reading. Bye everyone.